Skinnovation Podcast.
Welcome back to Skinnovation Lab. Today, we're talking about something that's not said out loud often enough. Dermatologists are unicorns.
Which is kind of ironic because I think if you go on social media, you would think everyone is a dermatologist.
Exactly. If you go on, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you can see there is skin advice everywhere. Everyone has a routine. Everyone has a product that they're pushing.
But let's talk numbers. So the US population is 333 million. And of those, there are about 12,000 dermatologists.
If we do the math there, so that's 0.004% of the US population's 4,000th of 1% are actually dermatologists.
The other way to think of that is that there's one dermatologist for about 28,000 people. So while social media may make it think like they're really everywhere, it's not. It takes a lot of training.
There's 20,000 students who graduate from medical school every year in the United States.
And about 450 to 500 dermatology residency spots nationwide. So that's about 2%. And practicing dermatologists are only about 1.3% of the population. Because it's one of the most competitive specialties.
And what do those dermatologists actually do? So
a lot.
And so this is a big thing that our association's been putting out there. Your dermatologist knows. Dermatologists are trained to diagnose and manage over 3,000 different skin conditions. We can perform skin cancer removal surgeries. We treat autoinflammatory and different immune conditions of the skin, different lymphomas, cancers of the skin, as well as be able to offer laser energy-based device treatments.
So despite what the algorithm says, we are unique. And I think that's our opportunity to say, we're sorry that you have to wait so long to come and see us, but we want to see you too.
Just like a unicorn, dermatologists are rare.
Absolutely. They're exceptional, uncommon experts. And I'm glad that we have this podcast so we can actually bring science and dermatology information and questions that so many of our patients ask us, and hopefully make this information accessible to you.
Excellent. We want to share this with you. Well, we have a few things in front of us right now, and I think it's time to take a little sip. So I'm going to crack this open.
Yeah.
What? So this is Nuri?
It is. Cheers.
Cheers. This is actually to our viewers. Cheers.
Yes,
to the viewers.
absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit about this too.
Okay. I actually know really nothing about the different, and there's like whey and then like bean and what's going on here? What's the different protein? And like, what do you do? What's your protein regimen? Because I know it's like 1 gram per kilogram body weight, but it changes based on your age and kidneys. That's literally all I know.
I think one of the questions we get a lot is from people is, should I take collagen supplements? Should I take collagen protein? Will that actually make collagen in my skin? What happens if I've lost collagen? How do I make up for that? And that, combined with looking at protein in general, kind of led us to say, hey, we should do a podcast about this.
100%. So people do ask about collagen, and in a way, I get where they're coming from. If my skin is collagen and I eat collagen, then it goes to my skin. But that's not the full story.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't, you don't eat collagen that stays collagen and then just like transports itself to the surface of your skin.
So it doesn't go from stomach to skin.
Exactly. Yeah. Which doesn't mean it doesn't work. And we'll talk about some of the data of how it works. But collagen is the most abundant protein in animals. There are 28 different types of collagen. And when we think traditionally of our skin, but you think of things like cartilage or bones or ligaments, those are all collagen too. You can't get collagen from non-animal sources. So that's just something for people to be aware of. The idea of vegan collagen doesn't really exist. Now, collagen is a protein. And so what happens when you ingest collagen is it breaks down into amino acids, which are what are taken up by your gut. And then those have the effects.
And we'll show right down the screen a little image of collagen being hydrolyzed.
Yeah, the little triple helix.
So you're talking about collagen in the skin. One thing that just a quick detour, we think about like, what is the light tissue interaction? What are we doing with our energy-based devices? And part of that is shifting around collagen ratios in the skin. People want to I think their hope is that if they eat the collagen or they consume it, that it will go to their skin and they will have nice plump skin, get rid of wrinkles, things like that. And that is what's advertised.
Yeah.
The advertisements are crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. And I think, we're gonna maybe in this podcast episode or the next one talk a little bit about the gray market and people
Yes, we are.
biohacking and
Yeah.
and what's happening with that and the safety involved with that. I mean, I guess in the worst case scenario, people just ingest lots of extra protein. It could not be dangerous. But of course, if you ingest a really, really high amount, you can have things like kidney failure with it.
Totally. So what do you tell people when they're asking you about collagen? Because this is a question we get actually a lot.
Yeah. So one of the things we talked about is that, again, collagen is the most abundant protein in animals. And it's a pretty simple protein that has a lot of repeating amino acids in it, like glycine and proline and hydroxyproline. And it turns out that whey actually has some of those, but collagen has them in a higher percentage. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what happens when people do take collagen and what happens in the skin. So basically that large molecule of collagen is broken down into small peptides, right? So those are fewer ones and it's easier for the gut to absorb them than a really large molecule like collagen. Of course, on the surface of the skin, it's not going to get through either because it's a really large molecule.
Right. And that's actually, you'll see that marketed as well, like a collagen mask or a collagen. But we talk on this podcast, I think every time we mention the 500 kilodalton rule, and collagen's huge.
It is, yeah.
In negatively charged molecule, it's not going in your skin.
Yeah. Yeah, it can hydrate, right? It's like if it has some occlusive effects. But yes. So there are a couple things that it's been shown that these little peptides to do that actually can stimulate your own collagen production.
Okay, so there is some truth.
Yeah, there is some truth.
Know that collagen, so we can make it ourselves, right? And so that is the whole point.
Because we're animals.
Because we're animals. We're unicorns.
Exactly. Yeah, which are animals. But if we were plants, we couldn't make collagen.
We could not make collagen. And so we think about how does collagen get produced? And so that is from our in our skin, from our fibroblasts, which are controlled. The amount of collagen can be controlled by genetic factors. So it can lead to upregulation of the collagen production, collagen gene. And then we know that there are different growth factors like TGF beta, VEGF, that also can help stimulate collagen and growth. The really interesting thing that we think about too with a lot of interventions, skin interventions like laser and chemical peels, things like that, they also can stimulate collagen production.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so what I'm kind of hearing you say is, you want to make sure that you have adequate nutrition to have all those building blocks in place so that when you get the stimulus to build collagen from some intervention from your dermatologist, that you have the building blocks needed.
Yeah. And as the new year comes, a lot of us have New Year's resolutions and goals. And one of mine was to make sure that I had adequate protein because a lot of times when we are trying to lose weight, we end up losing muscle and we don't want to do that. And so in order to build it, the question was, what kind of protein should I ingest? And so, of course, we want to differentiate out collagen for skin, but then also, would it help with actually gaining more muscle? And the data for that is pretty clear that the proteins that have the greatest benefit for building muscle are whey protein.
Okay, whey protein.
Yeah, and not collagen. So
the thing that I would wonder about there's so many different sources. How are you evaluating? How can the consumer make a good choice?
It is really hard. I looked at this and, it says grass-fed whey protein. This one is not flavored. I had read that the best way to put it in is in a morning coffee.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I would have never thought of that. Yeah. So have you been adding this to your...
I have. Yeah.
What does it taste like?
So this is what I do.
Okay.
So this is a little...
This is a biohack moment.
So I have a coffee from my favorite coffee place that I store overnight because in the morning I, don't get up early enough to be able to heat it. So I'll put a scoop of this in there and then I'll mix it. I'll leave it in the fridge overnight because one of the things that I've read from people is that it's still powdery and clumps. So you just need to give it a little bit of time to go in to the drink. Now, maybe one of the things is we could just put a tiny bit of water and mix it in and have it be more of a liquid. And that way you can add it to your morning drink. But that's what I
and
do.
just store it that way. Interesting. Interesting. And
And
so
there's no
when you're
clumps
drinking
by
it
the
in the morning,
morning.
there's no clumps.
No clumps.
Interesting.
No clumps, no taste. It's almost like a little bit of a creamy taste because of a lot, obviously whey comes from dairy.
Yes.
So that's why this has a lot of whey protein. So that's a good way to get it.
I think that what you said is spot on. I think that when we think about what is the body, if the body is in starvation mode, what is it going to do? And we would all love for it to just go right after fat, preferentially in the face and different regions. But it does
visceral fat, not our nice subcutaneous
fat.
Right.
Yeah. But it doesn't. Muscle breakdown is real. And that's kind of the big thing that I think people are still kind of figuring out about the GLP-1s, especially among adults who are a little bit older.
Yeah, absolutely. Our ability to absorb protein goes down as we age with all of those. So often you have to increase the amount of protein. And so when you were saying very smartly, 1 gram per kilogram per day, but because as people age, they absorb less. They recommend for people over 65 that they may even go to like 1.5 to 2.
Interesting. I will say because I did look this up recently, because I was interested just myself, there are good guidelines online, and we're going to share them with you right now on the screen.
When we think of the
macro
things that we have in our body, right? We've got protein, you've got like carbohydrates, and you've got fats. So carbohydrates can become fat, protein can become fat, can become carbohydrates, but those two cannot become protein because amino acids are the building block.
It's actually very fundamental to understand this. You have to have some sort of a protein intake, not just protein from like a diet, like a fish or meat or mushroom, whatever. Thinking about protein from like supplemental protein. And I'd say that the market has changed so much, but because of that, we have to educate people because before all of these products flooded the market, it was like a few players were in town and they were all on the same page.
Yeah.
But now not every protein is built the same. And I think that the marketing has just gone crazy. And so people don't know what to do.
So when we think of protein, obviously there are people who are vegan or vegetarian. When we looked at absorption, so one of the things that the studies did show as people age, their absorption goes down, and in particular for vegetable sources of protein. So animal sources of proteins are better absorbed, and liquids are better absorbed too as people age. So this is honestly perfect because this isn't chalky at all.
When I think about what is the first thing that your primary care doctor might say, have a balanced diet.
Yeah.
Which is still excellent advice. Yeah. We have to think about how to make sure that we're aging with, longevity.
And I wonder if part of this is the way that we eat in America. We eat really fast. And we know as physicians, we're usually eating and working. And so maybe in other countries, people chew their food more and breaks down a little bit better because that breakdown starts in your mouth. And so they have better absorption. I think eating, again, natural foods is the best, but that's hard to do.
It is, yeah. For this podcast, we wanted to give advice that's practical. And there are days where, if you can just get your protein in, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't feel so, guilty about it.
We're not here to make you feel guilty about anything other than not wearing sunscreen.
Yeah, that one.
Don't go without your sunscreen.
And actually, here's a link to our episode.
Yeah.
About sunscreen.
Yes, about sunscreen.
But anyway, so I found this great article about biohacking. And so what is this idea? It is the article was actually centered around Silicon Valley, where we are currently. When we think about kind of the future of medicines, a lot of them are injectable peptides. People are actually working on oral peptides too for psoriasis. That's going to be coming actually this year. But since people have become accustomed and open to the idea of injecting GLP-1s, people have wondered what are other neuroendocrine systems that can be modulated with the use of injectable peptides. And the answer is shocking, many. And one that really struck my eye was the use of different injectable proteins to cause the skin to darken that change tyrosinase and melanin distribution in the skin. And people are doing this to get kind of like a tan, which is very interesting to me. But we know that it can actually has the potential to increase the risk for melanoma.
Oh, wow.
These different injectable peptides are not actually commercially available easily. And so a lot of people are getting them through what they call the gray market, meaning they're products. A lot of them are actually manufactured in China, but they're being sent over, and people are having what are called biohacking parties where they're sitting around injecting peptides. This is the new Silicon Valley party that, we don't know about. And it's interesting. And I think that one thing that the article talked about was people's level, what is considered acceptable risk. I would ask you, would you inject a great peptide into you?
Well, it's like you're just saying, like the ethos of Silicon Valley is move fast and break things. But that thing is your body. So no.
And you get one.
Exactly. And everyone says they've done their research or whatever, but I think that that's the challenge is that, we see people who come in who have complications of a lot of this. So I think one has to be very careful because you're right. We've only got that one thing.
That's true. I think that GLP-1s have been a massive hit, but this was not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
I mean, these have been developed for years, and it kind of just so happened that a lot of these companies had it in line to get FDA approval one after the next, and which I think is a good competition for the marketplace. But I think that it maybe created a false sense of safety for a lot of these other peptides, because it's the equivalent. Just because it's the same mechanism of delivery, right, does not mean it's the same outcome for your body. So like it would be the equivalent of like, well, I'm going to take this antibiotic for my acne, but I'm going to inject like dirt water to cure my diabetes. Like it just doesn't make sense. That's like it's a false equivalency. But I also think that people are onto something in a way. Mm-hmm. There's like a grain of truth in everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's science behind it, but again, for that science to translate to something, it has to be, and for it to go through the regulatory process has to go through a lot of different steps. And that ensures safety and efficacy, right? Because an N of 1 in a study wouldn't be enough. And so one person telling you they've done all of these things and you should do them, and that's not enough information. Because it's not regulated, you may not get the same active.
Yeah.
You may not get the active at all.
These are like batch productions, not in, certified labs. No. And so there's the potential for tainting, dilution, a lot of things. And so that's separate from the fact that we actually may not know the biologic pathway that these molecules are acting on. The ethos of it, this idea that we can use different peptide medicines to enhance health, I'm not against. I think it's awesome. And I think that whether you want to call it biohacking or longevity, whatever it might be, that's something I think we can all agree on. And I do sympathize with people that the regulatory process is brutal. This is my personal opinion. Harmony and bringing a good product to market is a safe, efficacious product.
Yeah.
And we have to apply the scientific method to that.
Exactly. And I think we understand that people are skeptical about the current state of healthcare. And certainly our healthcare system in the United States needs a big overhaul. But again, it's not to like throw out all science or to just dismiss the entire process.
We go into clinic. Our only goal is to help people get better. And it sounds almost like a cliche, but it is so truly the point of this whole institution. Of Stanford medicine. It's easy to get jaded about some things for sure, but I think that there's been a lot of loss of public trust.
Yeah, it is. The process that it takes to become a unicorn or to become a healthcare provider it's people don't do it for the money. People are really genuinely wanting to help.
It's such a good feeling. We had a patient today who had an amazing result. I had to do 7 unpleasant things, but I got one amazing outcome.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so I think that have faith in us, have faith in your unicorns.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the optimal biohacking is using scientific knowledge to be able to have treatments that work specifically for one person, right? It's like precision medicine.
Yeah.
But again, the way it is now, it's imprecise and potentially dangerous.
100%. So if you're invited to a biohacking party, definitely go.
Now let's talk clinical data because mechanisms alone aren't enough.
Currently, collagen is the only protein supplement that's been shown to improve certain skin parameters, but it's been one of the most frequently studied.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to understand because obviously the manufacturers of these are interested in that. So they fund those studies. 2.5 to 10 grams per day of collagen peptide in an 8 to 24 week studies improve skin elasticity, hydration, wrinkle depth, and the density of your dermis, the second layer of your skin.
And this is from collagen.
Yeah, collagen supplementation.
Collagen supplementation. So I think, again, it's important that we have this research that looks into it. And I think, like you had said before, recognizing that some of these studies probably are industry funded. They were looking to find a change in the skin, but they actually did.
Yeah, they found it, which is great.
Yeah.
I think what we tell people is, practically speaking, don't have collagen be your main source of protein intake. So now we can talk about muscles.
So where does whey protein fit in?
So whey protein is the one that has the strongest evidence for muscle synthesis. So if you want to, retain your muscles, if you're on a weight loss or anything, but it's really important that whey is the protein that is the one that's the best for muscles. It's rich in amino acids as well as leucine, which is what activates mTOR.
So I understood that it's low in glycine and proline.
Yes, those are really important for collagen. So that one is not. So it's kind of like take both.
So how do you think that people could take both?
It's interesting where there was that study that shows ingestion of whey alone actually will reduce the plasma glycine levels.
Interesting.
So, yeah. We don't have studies that show that whey improves skin, collagen, or dermal outcomes. So I think the goal is to mix two of them.
So in theory, then you're getting the fibroblasts to really produce the collagen. If you're going to have to build protein, you need all those amino acids, but you need those specific amino acids that you're not getting from the whey. That makes sense to me.
Yep. And so one of the things that can be done is, if you do have your whey protein shake, is to add about 5 grams of collagen to that.
Okay, so here's my question though. Everyone's talking about plant-based diet, and I feel like it's hard because we're jumping around, right?
Yeah.
But before protein craze, we were all about blue zones, plant-based diets. What about plants and protein?
Plants also have protein, so we can get protein from non-animal sources. And the one that's best studied is pea-based. There's no evidence for pea protein for dermal collagen synthesis, just, for people to be aware. So it doesn't have hydroxyproline. Which is that signal to fibroblasts.
Yes.
So for collagen, no, but for pea protein for muscle, it has been shown. It's not as good as whey protein, but for those who are vegan or vegetarian, it's a good source.
You really do need the animal protein.
And you don't need to have it all the time. There's like the VB6 movement where you're vegan before 6. You don't eat animal products for every meal. You do it for 2 of your meals and eat a more plant-based. It's more sustainable, but also to understand, right, is that especially as we age, that animal protein will probably be a better source.
The only other real supplement that I can think of is like HelioCare, which is a fern extract. And I was so skeptical of HelioCare when I first heard about it. I'm like, we're inundated with marketing for all sorts of different products. And this one was like, oh, a fern extract will help repair your DNA. I'm like, likely. But I have actually recommended it to some patients who, for one reason or another, needed it. And it was very helpful for them. And at least they felt like it really helped the skin. And it's something that is relatively safe too. So we have to go finish our protein.
Yes. This was very enlightening.
It was very enlightening.
Yeah. And we hope that you have gone away with some good information on what kind of protein sources you could consider adding for your skin, but also your muscle and overall health.
And if you're considering biohacking, look at the data.
Just be a little cautious.
Be a little cautious.
It's only right. Don't break things when it's you that you could potentially break.
There's just one of you. That's right. And so we're signing off here from Discovery Hall at Stanford Redwood City. If you'd like to support more of our work, please feel free to follow the links on the screen and check out some of our other videos. So we really love to get your comments. Please comment down beneath the video, like, and subscribe. And we will be back with another episode in 2 weeks.
Thank you.